Everybody, welcome to the Arkansas Diamond Report with Dudley, Dawson. I'm Jason Patterson. I want to thank you guys for joining us this evening. Man, Dudley, I like that intro so much I wanted to play it twice tonight.
There you go. There you go.
Had that on loop too. We got a special guest, Arvis Harper. He's going to be joining us here pretty soon. He was on with Otis and I last Thursday, and I don't know if it's just a good luck charm or just exactly what, but I thought, you know what? He's got so much baseball knowledge. I think it would do everybody a bit of good just to have him back on again, share some more insight of what he saw, what you saw, and just kind of get everybody kind of informed with what's going to happen here coming up on Saturday too.
Yeah, it's going to be good to have him on. Obviously Arkansas punched its ticket. I think that as I looked back on it, the not steal of home, but getting home on the wild pitch turned into be one of the biggest things there early on because it got the fans relaxed, the players relaxed, and then they were able to go on. Obviously, just to hit the 2-run home run of there after that, but Helfrich answered, and was a good weekend had by all that weren't wearing orange.
That is so true. I will say that Tony V was pretty complimentary, regardless of the antics and the whole, razzmatazz that he usually pulls over there in the dugout between pitchers, umpires, and all that other stuff. I felt like he was super appreciative. He was very complimentary of not only coach, but also the player makeup, this roster as well. It really takes a bunch of dudes to beat the defending national champion, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and you have to give him a lot of credit for taking them to the national championship last year, and getting back in the mix this year. He had, as you said, he had several complimentary things to say about Arkansas staff, about Arkansas fans. He enjoys the villain role a little bit. If it helps energize his team, he's one of those guys that if he's on the other team, you don't like him. If he's on yours, then you can deal with it a little bit better. Who knows? Maybe one day he will be. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it could be something that might be in the cards. I have to admit, I heard an interview with him this morning, and he had a pretty interesting story that he was kind of going over after the loss on Sunday. He'd ordered some pizza from US Pizza. Unselfless plug there to those guys, and he had to he door dashed it because he didn't eat any dinner after with the team afterwards. He said he was just too, wound up inside just from, not making it to the College World Series again. And, here we go. We're going to bring Arvis on too here.
All right, guys. Hey.
What's up, Arvis?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Tell a quick Tony V story that I heard this morning. And so he said that, with DoorDash, he had to go and put his actual name on the order. And he said he was kind of, a little leery of it because him putting his name on a delivery of food to a room, you never know what could happen. He says, I didn't know if it could have been one of those instances where, hey, Michael Jordan, in the 97 playoffs type thing. He said, I looked, he said, I tried the salad he said he didn't try the salad, but he ate about half the pizza and said, well, I was already starving and I was just going to take my chance. But he said it was a good time, regardless of the fact that, they did lose. It says he always likes to come back and see the players, talks to Matt Hobbs, talks to Bobby Warnes. He recruited Bobby to come here to play. And so I felt like it was one of those things where he was trying to quell the mood a little bit, where there were so many people that so many people that disliked him. And because, at the end of the day, he's a ball coach. He's not that villain that, people kind of put him out to be sometimes, but he does like that role, like you said, Dudley.
Yeah, and I loved it back when I was in high school, and playing too. There's nothing like going to somebody else's field and winning, telling them about it. I grew up a little bit. I think it was a couple of years ago I did that. So, but right around when I turned 60. So
I'm going to jump on. I'm going to take myself out for just a second because Max, my Beagle, a.k.a. the sound producer, is wanting to go outside. Give me just a second, y'all. You guys go and take it down.
Oh, okay. Hey, good to see you, man. Just what you saw this weekend from that crowd and kind of it kind of helped him get over the top, I thought.
Oh, I thought it was amazing, man. The atmosphere was amazing. I thought the crowd really added and showed the Razorback support that the team deserves.
We were talking a little bit about it before we came on. I thought that with the left on base there in the first inning, it looked like they were about to in the second inning, that 2-out, 2-strike wild pitch and Cam Cozil busting it home was probably a play that relaxed the team and relaxed the fans because, they didn't need anything to start struggling. Or they'd have been thinking about now fans. I'm talking about. I don't think there were enough players from the past 2 years on this team that they would have panicked. But I thought that was a big play.
Well, we talked about it earlier in the last show, how some of the most important things that needed to happen during the game was we needed our starting pitchers to go farther. Okay, we didn't have that in that game. We struggled, but we were fortunate that Doyle struggled also. And so I thought the guys did a great job of – you're talking about in the second game or the first game, because the guys did a great job in hitting the second game. Pitching, Root did an outstanding job in the first game.
I think it's probably a good thing that Liam Doyle didn't transfer here, because his 3 times he's pitched at Baum-Walker Stadium, none of the 3 have gone well for him. And that's strange because it goes well for him everywhere else. He's about to be a rich young man. Arkansas is going to see another great, high draft pick, I'm thinking, in the first game, up there in Omaha. So it's interesting. You never know what's going to happen. I would have bet that coming into the regular season series and coming into the weekend at Arkansas, that him pitching would have given Tennessee an edge. But it turned out to be that he didn't pitch with the fire that he's known for. And I think maybe he pitched with so much last week and he burned out a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I from a hitter's point of view, I mean, you could tell from the beginning that he was struggling. His breaking pitches were struggling. And so from a hitter's point of view, that's when I love to be able to say, okay, he's going to give me a fastball. He's struggling. I just have to be patient and wait on that fastball because he's going to give me one. And I need to take advantage of it. And that's what he did.
Yeah, and obviously Charles Davelin, who's done great against left-handed pitching all year, gets right-handed pitching too, but, better than the left-handers, usually do. Man, he smoked that thing. He was sitting on it, and I think the party started right about that time.
Guys, I tell you the scenario behind that, the setup was, Doyle was struggling. And after the team came out and talked to him at the mound. Now, from a hitter's point of view again, and I knew he was struggling and the team was coming out to kind of calm him down a little bit. From a hitter, I was looking for a fastball because then even great pitchers, when they're struggling, they're trying to lay one in there and get ahead of the hitter. So that was a perfect time. And Davelin did a great job of just waiting. And taking advantage of that first pitch, he put it right there for him and he jumped all over it.
Yeah, that's a good point because a lot of times this year he saw a lot of pitches. I think he at one point was averaging seven pitches and at bat there during the middle of the season, and knew what had a plan and executed it, and it went really well.
And I think the guys did a great job too of being patient. Remember, we talked about the last time we talked about when you face a great pitcher, you have to be patient. You have to make him work. You have to make him earn everything he's getting. Don't help him out at all. And I think the guys did a good job with that. I tell you, I was really concerned. Now, just in my opinion, boy, the strike zone was all over the place. I mean, I was really surprised how, from a hitter's point of view, you didn't know. I mean, the ump was calling all kinds of.
It was moving, it seemed like, from inning to inning almost.
It was. It was. It seems like it was different every inning. And so that makes it very difficult as a hitter. There's no consistency there.
I was on a Zoom today with Chris Burke and Kyle Peterson, and one of the Tennessee writers actually, brought that up and said, what did you think about the strike zone? And they said that, TrackMan was sitting next to him, and they didn't think that it was that bad. But man,
wow.
that thing was floating on Zach Root
Wow.
there when it was 0-2, and maybe it didn't seem like that to them, but just sitting there behind the plate watching that thing float.
Watching it, I mean, it was. And I really, you could see the look on some of the hitters' faces that they were really confused because, I mean, I would be too. I mean, what are you going to call it? I mean, is it low? I mean, are you calling chest high fastball, or where's the consistency there? So I know, where to start, where to look, how to go. But,
yeah. And I think that some of the Tennessee hitters might have been having a little bit of a difficult time kind of adjusting inning to inning, it seemed like, because there were some, like you said, there were some that Zach was getting a call for that Marcus was not getting a call for, and vice versa. It seemed like sometimes, but nonetheless, though, I think, and like Dudley, like you had talked about, when Cam stole home, and knowing that was a backup catcher,
right.
that was something that I know that they really didn't talk about too much, and they didn't put too much into it. But you have to think, and maybe in the dugout, that was something that might have been not talked about heavily, but kind of said, hey, if this does happen, we got a backup guy coming in.
Yeah, ironically, Caden Peebles had one in the next game as well. So, and I think one of the points to make there is Ryder Helfrich had a big time series, obviously offensively, but he also did behind the plate, calling the game and keeping most of the pitches in front of him.
He did a very good job. I agree.
He did. And here's another thing that I know that some fans have talked about, but it hasn't been really expanded on any. Vahiva and Kahio Aloy have been kind of silent at the plate, yet this and the rest of this lineup has picked him up. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't know it was going to happen like this. Arkansas be 5-0 in 5 straight games going into the College World Series, and facing LSU that they lost to Euler in the regional games, had to go to a 5th game or a 7th game. And I hope that it kind of helps Arkansas a little bit as far as the bullpen goes. I know that they're going to have a week off, but that week off still seemed to affect Liam Doyle.
I think go ahead.
No, and watching both of the brothers, you could tell usually when, from a hitter's point of view, when you're struggling, that means that you're not really catching the pitch. You're not able to
see the spin,
be consistent with your strike zone. Okay. But when you're making good swings at the ball and you're hitting it hard somewhere, or but you're seeing it good, that will eventually come around. Okay. That's not something that you would lose confidence in your hitting ability. You just have to be patient, because those balls that you're seeing well, you will eventually start hitting hard, and it will make a difference. But when you see a guy that's struggling and recognizing the pitches, or he's jumping at balls, or he's swinging at bad pitches, then that's when you start really struggling from the plate.
Yeah, and I think Tony kind of tried to use a little excuse of Liam Doyle pitching on Monday. Well, you're the one that brought him in to pitch, and you had to do that. But it isn't as if he went out there the next day, and it was from the start that he was struggling. It wasn't.
He started right off struggling.
I just thought Arkansas did a good job at working the count.
Yes.
And, anytime that you don't get – he didn't get the Greg Maddox calls. And he didn't get those, then, that's going to help the opposing team at the plate.
And see, that's another thing that makes a dominant pitcher even more dominant, is when he's getting those calls, those marginal calls. When he's getting that call that's maybe a little high or maybe a little low, and he's getting those calls, then it makes it really tough to hit off of him. But, when I started charting them a little bit, and, the first inning, he had 21 pitches. So that means that they were working him. They were making him work. and that was good to see. I really enjoyed seeing that, and that's when you start seeing the pitch count go up. And if you notice, when he went out of the ball game, he had over 60 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a lot of for a really good pitcher. That's a lot of pitches in 3 innings, man. Almost 4 innings. That's a lot of pitches. So that gave us a chance to settle down a little bit, take advantage of him, and that's what we did. The guys did a great job of doing that.
They did. And one of the things that I've noticed too, whenever postseason play started, regionals, Arkansas's ERA has went down 0.2 of a point. The batting average, opponent batting average, has went down as well. So not only and I know that David talked about this on Saturday, that Zach Root is one of those guys that continues to get stronger as the year goes on, versus some of the pitchers that they've had in the past where they might have kind of tapered off just a little bit.
Right.
As he keeps going, he gets stronger, and that's something that Arkansas hasn't had in a long time.
I was pleasantly surprised that he put a strong outing when he was out, and I love his aggressiveness. I love the fire that he has in him. The only concern I had was him going after other players. Like when he went after Fisher. Okay, it's okay to fire up your teammates, but when you start going after other players, you fire them up too. And I don't want to fire them up. I want to keep them down. Okay, I want them to feel defeated. And when you do things like that, you tend to fire them up sometimes. So I was a little concerned about that.
It's a fine line right there.
It's a very fine line.
Yeah, and I'm going to use his excuse. He couldn't remember what he said. Sure. That's what I'm going to go with next time I say something I shouldn't. I'm going
to remember that one. I'll try to use that one.
Blacked out there.
Oh, it was so funny because it was mentioned that he could have probably done about anything. Could have done a cartwheel after the game. That if he did a cartwheel, he probably wouldn't have gotten thrown out of the game either. So, but yeah, it was a great series. The one thing I do want to also bring up really quick, and Arvis, I want to ask your opinion too on this, and Dudley as well. The V taking the trophy, going up into the stands, running around the concourse, going to the hog pen, going over to Lake Norm, not dogpiling. And I know that there's been a lot of, hey, this is what we have always thought we should be at, where we should be at, this team should. But to go around the concourse like that and celebrate with the fans, that right there is a distinct difference in some of the previous teams that have been on the hill.
Right.
Yeah, five of the 8 teams, as it turned out, 5 of the 8 teams didn't dogpile. 3 who were surprises to get there. I mean, Murray State dogpiled twice. After the play at second base, but I thought that was kind of businesslike, and it clearly, I don't know if they thought about it before, but it might have been something, because it just didn't happen. It just materialized. He just took the trophy and started walking, and they all started following him. And I thought that was big. Those fans were really excited about it, and in this day and age.
Yes,
with NIL, transfer portal, and allegiance and all of that, I thought that was showing a lot of love to the fans, who have shown a lot of love to them back, and I thought that was just pretty doggone cool.
Guys, I don't know if you feel the same way, but there's something special about this team. I really feel I have a good feeling about them going to Omaha, and I just feel like it's our time. I think this is the team that could really do it. I mean, if the guys Root pitches like he did, if Woods comes out and pitches a little bit more than he did, I mean, we've got a very good chance of taking it all.
Yeah, boy, those first 2 games are going to be so important. You get those first 2 games, then you can make a run. You lose that first one, you really have to fight back through there. But I look forward to Saturday night's game. It's as Peterson said today, it's going to be absolutely crazy with the fans there, because those are the 2 that will have the most fans there.
But see, the thing about it is we're going in with confidence. Okay, we're going in. We just beat Tennessee, so they should be going in with a tremendous amount of confidence. and going after LSU, instead of and be aggressively going after LSU because they're playing well.
Absolutely,
And
I agree.
Quite arguably, I think that these two teams have the deepest pitching staffs of the 8 that are in Omaha. And if there is going to be a team that's going to make a run to the final, I think it's going to be one of these two teams because, say, for instance, God forbid, something happens and Arkansas loses that first game, they still have enough arms to be able to pull out, 3 more wins to get to a final. Actually, it might be 4. And so at that point, you got to really kind of dissect the staffs for just a second, because I think that Arkansas can, if they have to absorb a hit like that, we don't want to. But I think that they're set up that way that if it does happen, they can still make the final, but not have to send a guy out. Like, for instance, we've seen in some of these game 7s and game 3s in the regionals and supers where your starting pitcher is giving you like maybe 2 or 3 innings, and then you're whole staffing it the rest of the way.
Tony B just brought in another pitcher.
Yeah, you're going to really have a problem if your starting pitchers can't go, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, 4, 5, 6 innings. That was what was so huge with Root. I mean, he went 7 innings, and that's outstanding. I mean, it took a lot of pressure off the bullpen, and those guys were able to come in and take care of business. But you can't when the competition gets as tough as it's going to be. You have to have that starting pitcher go longer. And the team that does that is a team that's going to have a better chance of winning.
Very rarely when you have 4 different pitchers throw to 4 different batters, it's a positive thing for you. And that was one of the things that Tennessee had to do or Tony chose to do. And A.J. Russell, obviously the 4th one, I believe, that didn't end up well for Tony, but he was doing everything because it was slipping away.
Well, and looking at that, it was a desperate move on his part, but he knew he had to keep that extra run from coming in. I mean, when you're one run down, there's a lot of things you can do. You get a base runner, you can bunt him over, you can there's some different options that you have. But when you're 2 down, it limits you to a whole lot and that's what he was fighting to keep from happening, but it didn't. He couldn't stop it. I
have to point this out really quick. Arvis, did you wear that green hat for some good luck coming in this weekend?
No, the reason why I have the green hat, guys, is when I threw out the first pitch, it came up and I threw out the first pitch, and they wanted to recognize me as a trailblazer. When I walked up to get my hat, they gave me a green one, and I said, "Well, our colors are not green. Why are you giving me a green hat?" And they said, "Well, we want you to wear this so that wherever you walk around the stadium, people will know that you're the trailblazer." Wow. It will separate you, and they can see you from a distance, and they don't have to guess who you are or how it works. You can just walk around with the hat on, and they know who you are. So that's the reason why I have this. So that's why I'm wearing it now. It's kind of a favorite of mine, because it's my trailblazer hat. Just put it that way.
Good stuff. I think if I ever walked around without a hat, nobody would know me.
I mean, with the reflection, you might get a good tan off, or somebody might be able to get a good tan off of that one.
Hey, God made a lot of perfect heads, and the rest he put hair on.
If that's the case, then I'm halfway to perfect. Oh, mate. How important is it for maybe not Cahillo, but for sure Vahiva to get back on track against LSU on Saturday?
I think it's extremely important for a lot of I don't know, you could say momentum reasons, psychological reasons. I think it's important that we go in with the aggressive attitude that we had with Tennessee, and just go in aggressively at LSU and let them know, that let them, as we used to say, let them know we're here. Let them know we're not afraid of them. Let them know we're just as good as they are, if not better. But you've got to come in with that attitude with a team like that, because if they feel like in any way that you feel inferior to them, or you feel like you're not as good as them, then they will take advantage of that. And that's a mental, if not just a physical, but it's a mental advantage that you have over teams like that.
Comebacks are cool, but front running is cooler.
Yes.
And that's what you need to do. And obviously, V, with it, being the second batter in the first inning, that's a big key. And it also kind of transforms things. I think if he gets on, they seem to feel good about it. I wish that one deep drive would have got out. I think that would have helped him a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's close.
Well, the guys, looking at the game, the second game, we had runners on. We had runners on almost every inning, which was really good. To keep putting the pressure on them. I just have a really good feeling about this team. I don't know how to explain it. Different than the other teams that over the past years. I just have a really good feeling about this team.
I think it's going to be important that Arkansas, Zach Root, if he does happen to be starting game 1 Saturday. Dudley, have you heard anything? Has DVH mentioned anything about that yet?
I would. There's a better chance of me putting on a Cubs hat than there is of somebody else starting that first game.
And that'll be over your cold dead body too. So there you go. I think it's going to be key for Zach to be able to locate early and often, get ahead of the count, because I was looking back at some of the numbers with LSU. They've scored of the all the games that they've played in regionals and supers. They've scored double digits every game except for 2. One was the first game they won 7-0, and then the loss that they had to Euler. Other than that, they've scored 10 runs or more in each game that they've won. So it's going to be important for Arkansas not only to get ahead of the count, but also to keep those bats at bay of LSU's, because listen, they've got some guys in the middle, and folks can go back and look at that series at Alex Box earlier. They were hammering it. And if Zach Root can locate, and if he can stay ahead of the count, I think that Arkansas will have a good chance, but they have to be able to score, because if this team does not like to play from behind, they don't do as well if they're versus them being ahead of 2 runs or more. So that's something that folks really need to look at is, are they ahead by 2 runs or more by the 6th inning? Because if I'm not mistaken, I think they're like 10-2. And maybe even more than that. I've got to go back and look. But this team doesn't do well if they're behind by at least by a run after the 6th inning, and it just gets worse after that. So that's what I'm going to be looking for in game 1.
Well, it's a good feeling from a hitter's point of view when you start a game and your pitcher is on, okay, and he's pitching well, and it's like, man, we just got to get him some runs, because he's pitching well, and let's just, keep that momentum going and get him a few more runs and fire him up a little bit more. And just, they both work hand in hand. It's usually the pitchers inspire the hitters more than the hitters inspiring the pitchers. Okay.
And I do think Charles Schwab Stadium is obviously, it plays different with how the wind is, but it's a cavernous stadium. It's not the box. So LSU will have to put together hits, not just wait on their 3-run home runs, which they, have made an art form out of doing down there and did this year, at times. But this is not as offensive an LSU team as it has been in the past. They just get clutch at the end.
Do you think that this, with Schwab, the way you were talking about it being cavernous, do you think that almost might help Arkansas with the lineup that they have? Due to how many doubles and how many triples it seems like that ballpark can keep in?
It's just tough to say. And I'd love to have the analytics in front of me that would tell me. I do think that Arkansas's defense in the outfield is much better this year than last year. And they'll be able to cover it, a lot better. I think. What is it? Water covers 20% of the earth, and Justin Thomas covers the rest. So.
Honestly, it really does help Arkansas because, one, Charles Davlin has been playing in the sun, it seems like forever. He's going to have that same thing happen to him on Saturday at Schwab Field. It always seems that the left fielder always has the most trouble, but Davlin was a center fielder. Justin Thomas is a center fielder. Logan Maxwell's got really great speed. So whenever, and you were just talking about this, the coverage that they have in the outfield, that is going to be also, I feel like, is something that could work to their advantage as well.
Right.
Because if this, stadium is keeping a lot of these hits that might be home runs in smaller stadiums, keeping them inside, that's more outs right there.
And you got to remember, short left and short right covered by Rover.
Yeah.
D'Eloy.
Yeah. And I remember when I played center for the Razorbacks, it made a huge difference when we played in a stadium that gave us a chance to run and run down balls and play good defense instead of, balls jumping out of the park. It makes a huge difference, guys. It really does. Mindset wise, defensively, and mindset wise, hitting wise, it makes a huge difference.
Well, really quick, got Arvis Harper. He's joined us graciously this evening here on the Arkansas Diamond Report with myself and Dudley. I want to kind of wrap it up here really quick. Arvis, you got any final thoughts before we jump off here?
Well, I love to see the fan base come out the way they did to support the team. I thought it was awesome. I mean, those guys have worked very hard, and coach has done a great job of putting the team together. And to see the support and that the guys got is tremendous. I do, like I said before, have a lot of confidence in this team. It's just something about them that I just feel like they have not only the physical ability, but also the mental ability to take it all the way. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in Omaha. But that first game with LSU is going to be critical. Not only for the win, but it's also the mental mindset. How it's going to kind of set your tone and your attitude going into that first game. And if you can get that first game, it's a huge boost into going farther, guys. It's huge.
Absolutely agree. And I believe that Grandpa Van Horn is in the best position he's been to since the second game in 2018 to win one. And I think it's his time.
I think so too. And
I can say that because we're the same age,
I want to comment really quick on the emotional outpour that he had after game 2 on Sunday before we jump off here. I don't think it was a wrapped up moment. I think it was more of a sense of it's about damn time.
Yes.
After the last 2 years.
Yes.
And you feel like he has worked so hard, put so much time, effort, energy, and emotion into not only the teaching side of it, but also the recruiting side of it.
Right.
And whenever you have all of those emotions that you've had worked on and just keep putting timeless hours and effort into this, I think that's what you finally see. And I mean, listen, and Dudley, you know this as well as I do. DVH is a tough nut to crack. End of story. But whenever you see a guy like that, you have that happen, you know how special this is.
Yeah, and also I think there's a little bit of frustration with how they've been so good over the years.
Right.
But these last couple of years, they've skidded home. It's, I don't know if the right word's embarrassing to him, but it's pissed him off. And, they made a concerted effort to make some changes this year to make sure they were playing the best they could at the end of the year, to make sure they were healthy, to not overtax the pitchers.
Right.
And I think that's all played into this. And, it's I think he's stoic and tough, but, hey, we're all human. And that would bother me. I'd never let anybody know it, but it bother me.
Yep. Now,
I tell you, I just for coach, you know, because I've been, you know, I've been on teams where the coaches have worked very hard and care about the players and do everything they can to help and support the players. But guys, the beauty of coaching and is the fact that with all the hard work that you put in, when you start seeing it all come together, when the players all of a sudden start playing at the potential you felt that they could play at, and they start performing in the way that you knew they could do it, that is a wonderful reward for a coach. And I think that's what's going to happen to Coach this year.
Nate Thompson's time to shine. That's all I got to say before we get out of here. He's done a hell of a job this season. You got a little. Is that Tatum in the back?
Yeah, my dog's wanting in on the action too. He has something to say.
See, Max did too. So there you go. Arvis, you got a dog?
No, not at this time. I don't.
Oh no.
I love dogs, but I don't have one at this time. No.
It seems like either Dudley, myself, or Otis, whenever we're doing something from the house, it doesn't matter. It always between Otis's bulldog and Dudley's. What is he again? He's a blue. I can't remember them.
French bulldog.
French bulldog. Yeah. And my beagle. It seems like sometimes something always happens, and they got to get in on the action. So. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us this evening. Went a little long, but we had a special guest, Arvis Harper, joining us this evening. And so Thursday night, Dudley and I will – or sorry, Dudley. Holy cow. Dudley, I'm giving you the night off Thursday. Okay.
Yeah, you are.
Myself and Otis will be back out at it on Thursday night at 7 p.m. So y'all take care. And for Dudley, Arvis, and myself, good evening. Go Hogs.
Thank you again, guys.
Enjoyed it.